Hey guys, so we had a little technical difficulty yesterday and I was muted. So I'm going to go through that presentation again. Give me one moment, I'll share my screen. Here we go. I bet you're a bit like me. You want to eliminate carrying costs while your home is on the market, and you want to sell it for as much as possible. Well, I'm not sure if it's for you, but we only take on 4 in 20 properties that inquire, and I don't want you to miss the chance at selling your luxury home this year for top dollar. Check this out.
They said, you'll be out of this house in 45 days. And this was the middle of the summer. I said, are you guys serious? You're going to sell this thing in the middle of the summer? And they said, yes, we're going to do that. We got offers right out of the box. And finally, our fourth offer, we acted on and sold it.
How open-minded would you be selling your house in 60 days or less for top dollar? Well, unless you live in San Francisco, Los Angeles, or New York City, you aren't typically going to do that traditionally. And you're even less likely to create a bidding war. And if you ask me, I believe that all real estate agents would agree that the hardest part about selling or listing a property is getting people to the door. But I'm going to tell you how to get 200 plus people to your property in a 4-week period. So tell me, how would you feel if your home was on the market for 6 months or a year or even 2 years? Well, as of mid-August, August 11th of 2020, there were 50 homes that were priced at least $2 million and had been on the market for a minimum of 600 days. Collectively, the listing price on these homes has dropped nearly $20 million. How certain are you that you won't, or your home won't end up on this list? Just imagine the look on your neighbor's face when you sell your home in 60 days or less and you didn't have to lower the listing price once. So let me tell you something. Your home's like an automobile. It may be a high maintenance, kind of like an Italian sports car, or it might be refined and expensive like a German luxury sedan. It may be solid and sturdy like an SUV, or delicate like a Concours d'Elegance show car. But whatever it is, whether it's tiny like a compact car or full size and beyond, when you're selling it, it's going to need some fuel to make it run. And when it comes to marketing, when it comes to sales, marketing is that fuel.
Would you sell a car like this the same way as a car like this? Homes like this need a different approach and an expert's touch in order to sell quickly and for top dollar. I'm Cody Rules of PDQ Realtors, and we specialize in selling luxury properties in a quick, painless, profitable process.
Hey, I'm Cody of PDQ Realtors, and I'm helping define the actual market value of luxury properties by showcasing unique homes to the affluent market and selling them quickly for top dollar. I want you to think about using and implementing anything that I say today that gets you excited. My mentor, Jeffrey Gitomer, who wrote the best-selling sales book of all times, The Little Red Sales Book, has taught me the importance of leading with and providing outstanding value. So like a rising tide that raises all ships, the more sellers and the more real estate agents and professionals that I can help, the more it helps me cement my value. Do you need any help? You're probably asking, who is this webinar for? Why am I here? Well, if your home was one of the 50 that I just mentioned a few moments ago, it's definitely for you. But let's just say you want to sell your luxury home and you don't want it to sit on the market for months or even years at a time, getting stale as you repeatedly drop the price and let random showings dictate your schedule. If this sounds like you, then I need you to listen up, because I'm going to show you a unique marketing platform that will expedite your selling process to 60 days or less while creating an arena for affluent buyers to compete on, which drives the price as high as possible. So do me a favor and imagine you have a time machine. Hop in that time machine and zoom forward in space to the time when you've sold your luxury home. You're now free of the burden of that asset, and the new buyers are proud of the home that they just bought. And you're really happy with the price that they just paid. How'd you get there? How long did it take? Well, as I see it, you have three options. First, just list your home traditionally, test the market, hang in there for a while, and then after nothing happens, just switch brokers. I think that's the definition of insanity, but whatever. Best of luck to you. Moving on. Second option, just hold on to it. Don't sell it. Let your kids sell it, or your kids' kids sell it, because someone else's headache's a lot easier and a lot better to deal with than your own headache, right? Or third, you could try a not so traditional marketing approach for a not so traditional home. Create the sense of urgency and establish the fear of missing out in the marketplace, and develop a quick sale that sells for top dollar. So of these three options, what's going to be easiest for you? Well, as you can see, this is a pretty easy decision to make. And really, why wouldn't it be? We're giving you an opportunity to not only sell your luxury home in 60 days or less, but to sell it for top dollar. Can you tell me something? Has your driveway ever looked like this before? And please let me point out the cars on the road in the back, okay? By the way, this home was on the market for 3 years prior to us getting involved. And in 4 weeks, we had over 300 showings and 10 registered bidders that were competing in this record-breaking sale. So in our program, we accept luxury or custom homes or custom luxury homes, whether they're currently listed or not. However, we only accept 4 and 20 properties that inquire, and that's basically just due to us being very particular and selective in who we work with. You know, we're looking for sellers who are realistic and who actually want to sell their property for the real, true market value. Now, I'll explain what the market value means in a minute, but first, there's two types of people in this world: those who need to sell and those who want to sell. We really enjoy working with the clients who want to sell. You see, our programs for non-distressed properties, and that's both in the financial and the structural sense. And it's important for you to know that of all the properties we sell, they have a free and clear title. So we won't sell anything that has any liens, debts, or encumbrances. This is not a distressed situation. If I asked you to name one specific area of the sale that you would wish to control, you'd probably pick the price of sale, the time of sale, or the amount of competition involved in your sale. At least most people would. And the good news is, with our program, you can control the sale. And if you're asking me, controlling the sale begins with defining a specific timeline that property is going to be sold on. Now, some people may think, well, that's crazy. You know, why wouldn't you define a price first? And honestly, that's easy for me to answer. It's because I don't like creating ceilings for myself. You see, I'm in the business of setting as many sales records as possible, and it's hard to do that when I limit how high people can offer on a property.
I didn't think Cody could sell my home in the range of value he provided me, but he did, and he did it in the blink of an eye and brought me multiple competing offers.
See, my goal for you during this short time that we have together is to take away two things. Number one, the only way for you to sell your home for top dollar is to create a bidding war. Because if you're not competing up, well, you're negotiating down. And number two, the only way to create a bidding war is through creating FOMO. Okay? And where do the buyer's fears come from? It comes from pain. Pain that, well, maybe they're not going to act quick enough, or maybe somebody's going to act quicker, or possibly somebody's going to offer more than they were going to offer. You see, you must create a bidding arena or a platform for these buyers to compete on so that you can, A, define the actual market value of your property, and B, make the buyers feel comfortable with increasing their initial thought value of the home. Because, hey, if another buyer is willing to compete with them on price, clearly the value of the home's there. Remember, the value is in the eye of the beholder, not the appraiser. But through these two natural laws, we're able to direct a response that just simply isn't happening in traditional real estate. If you don't believe me, listen to this testimonial video from Leslie Pyle.
We were a little uncertain how to price it. And of course, we wanted to bring in the maximum value. And Cody was amazing in helping us price it, as well as his skills in bringing in multiple interested buyers. And with his negotiating skills and his amazing just all-around sales skills, we were able to sell our home for almost double what any other home in the area has sold for. So,
hey, what do you know about how pricing luxury homes has changed in today's market? How would you feel if you sold your home for 10 to 15% below market value? Now, what about above market value? Can you tell me how you know if you're selling your home for what it's actually worth? And how does your pricing strategy make the buyer perceive the value and feel confident enough that they're actually willing to open their wallets? Don't worry if you can't define market value. I'm going to do that for you right now. First, we have comparable sales. And the best determining factor for this is what are similar homes selling for per square foot in your area? Now, there are a lot of alternatives that you need to be aware of, and that includes land size, building year, building material, updating privacy, location, etc., etc., etc. But this is a good base point. Next, we have market inventory. This defines how many homes are on the market in your area and what the average turnover rate is for this neighborhood. In the biz, we define this as the absorption rate. It's important to know not only how many homes are for sale, but why are these homes for sale? You see, each neighborhood, block, or street can have different developmental trends happening at any given time. And lastly, market demand. If I'm being honest, which I am, this is the most important factor to consider. How many people actually want your home? Because, man, sometimes people just don't want your stuff. If you can create an arena for these people to compete on, then you're going to drive the price up, or at least you're more likely to sell the home at a higher value than with only one buyer negotiating against you. So let me ask you a question. How do you even comp a custom home? I mean, aren't they custom? Like, there isn't any other properties like it? This can make it tough to define a comparable property to draw values from. And that's why when I run assessments of my client's property, I look at the value of homes in the area, that were recently sold, because this is, the most important telltale sign of value. And I do this to determine how much money buyers are willing to spend in a specific area, not how much a home should sell for per square foot. That's like comparing apples to oranges, in my opinion. Get this. Most people that I speak with who are selling a luxury home, well, they inform me that their property was on the market for 1 to 2 years and only had 1 to 2 showings. Shocker. Why would anyone come see your home when you have all the photos, the videos, and the details on the internet? By the way, they know that your only tool to bait them is to lower the price. So of course, they're going to wait in the shadowed corners of the internet until you've lowered your price as low as possible. So can you tell me how you know if you're getting the actual market value for your home if the market's not actually showing up? Well, in order to understand what the actual market value of your home is, you need to allow the market to speak. And you do this by creating a buzz around the property, i.e. marketing, and you must also create opportunities for the public to participate in the action. Hence the message of a no reserve auction, selling to the highest bidder regardless of price. Now, in my opinion, the best way to do this is to structure showing opportunities on a strict schedule. For example, we don't allow showings to happen unless it's on our predetermined dates and times. Now, why do we do this? It's because I want all of the buyers to see each other. I want them to gain the understanding that it's not just them in this game, and that the other buyers, well, yeah, they have just as nice cars, clothes, and families as theirs. So this is going to be a competition, but one with great opportunity. Most people understand this best when I use the analogy of the empty restaurant versus the packed home restaurant. If you're on vacation in an unfamiliar area and you see an empty restaurant versus a restaurant that's got to wait out the door, which one do you want to eat at? I'm going to read a quick testimonial quote from one of my clients, John Madonia. He says, I had owned my home since 1992, and I've had it on and off the market a half a dozen times. Cody and PDQ Realtors did what they said they were going to do and sold my home in less than 60 days. He also exceeded my price expectations by about 15%. Before you make your mind up, let me ask you a question. How are the world's most luxurious things sold? I'm talking about art and antiquities, planes, yachts, cars, cigars, and even custom homes. Well, most people would say at luxury auctions. I mean, just think of how Picasso's or Van Gogh's trade hands. And other fine art and antiquities are really the same way. I mean, heck, here in Arizona, we host the greatest luxury and classic car auction on earth. Barrett-Jackson. Well, we're going to talk about the Barrett-Jackson of real estate via PDQ Realtors right now. So how would you feel after 6 months of listing your house and not receiving an offer? Or even worse, a showing request? Don't worry. There's a solution. What's going to happen next is I'm going to take you through a quick 5-step process that defines the luxury auction sales method. Then you're going to schedule a time that works well for the both of us to discuss your property to see if it's a good fit for our program. Fair enough? First, let's talk dollars. Well, in traditional real estate, the seller is going to pay a standard 6% split commission, and that's split between the buyer's agent having 3% and the seller's agent having 3%. Well, in our program, the seller only pays a 2% commission to us as the listing agent. We're going to take care of the buyer broker we're going to take care of the buyer broker's commission, and our luxury auction partners are paid by the buyer. They receive a 10% buyer premium, and that's paid on top of the sales price. So what is a buyer's premium, you're asking me? Well, it's a fee paid by the buyer reflective of what we call the hammer price or the sales price on auction day. So as an example, if the sales price is $4 million, the actual recorded sales price is $4.4 million. Or 5 records as $5.5 million. Does that make sense? Now, as we mentioned earlier, getting people to the door is the biggest hurdle in terms of selling real estate, any types of real estate, especially since the advent of the internet, where people can now have access to everything at all the time. So how do we negate this obstacle, and how do we succeed in getting 200 plus people to our properties in a 4-week period? Well, let me explain that through discussing the 2 different types of selling techniques when it comes to luxury auctions. First, we have a reserve auction. And this is where the seller can place a reserve or a price on the property. And if that price is not met, they can opt not to sell. But I'm going to warn you, this is the weakest way to sell in today's market, strictly because it's the same concept and precept as putting a listing price on the home. So if we put our buyer's hat on, why would we be enticed to go see a home that's only going to sell for a certain price? Especially when most sellers have unrealistic price expectations of the market anyways. Well, we wouldn't be. So keep that buyer hat on. What would get you to the door and in the game? How about the opportunity to name your price on an exclusive one-of-a-kind home? Probably, right? That's why we sell our properties via no reserve auction. And that's where the home's going to sell to the highest bidder regardless of price on auction day. And yeah, I know. I can hear you right now. I can hear you. Oh my gosh, does that mean my house is going to sell for $1 million? Well, yeah. I mean, I guess it means your house could sell for $1 million if it's only worth $1 million. But if you have a $4 million home, then it's going to sell for $4 million or more. At least this is your best chance to sell for more. Because in reality, this is how Christie's and Sotheby's sells their high-end art and antiquities. And like we mentioned here in Scottsdale, we have that familiar little thing called Barrett-Jackson. So why would they sell all of their things at no reserve auction? It's because it drives buyers to take action and it forces them to get in the game, which just isn't happening in traditional sales. Remember, if you aren't competing up, you're negotiating down. And every day that you carry that beast of a property, well, it costs you. Does that make any sense? Perhaps you could do me a small favor. Can you tell me where you must advertise your property for a successful marketing campaign? Do you know how much that costs? Well, luckily, I'm going to take you through the must-use marketing publications and vendors real briefly, but I've also created a cheat sheet for my clients that I'm happy to share with you. All you need to do is go to my website and provide me with your email address under the handout, and I'll mail it over. To give you a quick 30,000-foot view, here's a quick breakdown of crucial distribution channels that we use at PDQ when it comes to marketing your luxury home. First, we're able to go directly to our clients and our past clients. With our partners, we have over 125,000 clients that we can distribute properties to directly, depending on their property preference and location. We also utilize a number of reputable luxury listing publications. These publications are both in print and in digital formats, and they circulate locally, nationally, as well as internationally. Some examples of these are like DuPont Registry, Jet Set Magazine, Mansions Global, and Robb Report. Strategic placement of our advertisements in business journals is also a very strong form of marketing, seeing as how many of our luxury home buyers are business executives and other C-suite players. We want to be able to touch those guys. Generating activity and kicking up dust in the local brokerage community is a key to our marketing. And quite frankly, most traditional realtors just aren't doing it. When we're done with our campaigns, we can assure you that there are no stones unturned and no trees unshooked. Also, no realtors uncalled. So the last thing we do is we also leverage our digital marketing agencies to increase our internet traffic, traction, and participation. It's a fact that over 90% of buyers since 2015 have found their home online. But who cares how many people we can get to your property during the showings if we aren't bringing actual buyers, right? Right. And that's why we vet all of these buyers through a 3-step process. Aside from just talking with these people and understanding, what their dynamics are and who they are, i.e., are they married, divorced, kids, no kids, whatever. We also have these buyers go through the following process. The buyers are going to be required to deposit a cashier's check to our preferred title company. And this check's going to be made out for somewhere between $100,000 to $250,000, depending on the value of your property. They'll submit this check just for the right beat to be there, competing on auction day. If they're the winning bidder, that check goes hard instantly. If they aren't the number 1 or the number 2 bidder, that cashier's check is returned to them within 24 hours. Now, this is an as-is, no contingency sale. And that means that all of the due diligence is done before the auction as opposed to after, which is kind of like what happens in traditional real estate right now. So because of that, because we have a large amount of the buyer's non-refundable money, we don't have any fallout. Now, the high bidder's earnest money immediately becomes non-refundable. They then have 24 hours to bring their deposit up to 10% of the bid, minus the initial deposit, and then they have to close in 30 days or less. As a seller, since you're still interested, since your interest is still piqued, and you want to know if your property would qualify for our program, I'm going to take a moment and run you through the 3 upfront responsibilities that are required from our sellers. Number 1, the sellers are going to be required for providing the upfront due diligence for the buyers. So that's going to include a home inspection, a title report, a plat map, seller property disclosure statement, basically anything that we would need in a traditional sale. The seller is going to provide to us up front so we can supply it to the buyers. The next thing that we look at, the next thing the sellers have to provide is a free and clear title against what's owed on the property. And what I mean by that is if it's a $2 million home and you owe $195,000, I'm probably not your guy. And the last thing that the sellers provide is an upfront marketing investment. Now, that's the cost to market their property. This isn't like a fee-based system, or where I'm making money off of it, because if that was the case, I'd be charging a lot more. But this is the bare bones cost to market your property. It's based off of the location, the size, and the value of your home. And the reason we do that is because we put a lot of our own time and money into each sale. So this is a system that ensures all of the parties have skin in the game and are equally yoked in the process. Now, because we're paying the buyer broker commission, in essence, we also pay for the marketing. The seller just invests in it up front, kind of like a retainer for an attorney. In a traditional sale, that marketing money is already going to be sunk by the seller. Most of our sellers are going to pay that marketing fee in carrying costs within a quarter or two, regardless. Now, I know most of the questions you probably have. So let me answer the major questions that most of my clients ask me. Number 1, why in the hell would I pay for the marketing? You've never heard of that in the past before. Well, that's mainly just because no one has had the balls to ask you. But this isn't the past. In a matter of fact, it's the future of real estate. Also, keep in mind, you aren't paying the buyer broker commission. So the way I look at it is the funds you're saving in commission, you invest in the sale of your home. How committed are you to selling your property? The fact is that traditional real estate just has the worst business model on the face of this earth. The agents are going to put down the upfront investment in dollars and time in hopes that they're going to make it back when their clients accept a deal. I don't agree with that, and I don't think you do either. I think we should all have some skin in the game if you want to sell your home. Number 2, how do we create security for our sellers regarding the sales price? I.e., what happens if people just don't want your stuff? Well, we address this by working first with our seller clients to create an agreed upon range of value for the property. Okay, if the seller's too unrealistic, we'll just pass on that property. Secondly, the buyers are required to register 72 hours prior to the auction. When they do this, they submit a bidder registration packet, which contains their opening bid. And with that, we're able to extrapolate within a 10% range what their high bid will be on auction day. If through our data and planning, we aren't confident that that property is going to sell at or above our projected range of value, well, then we just drive the buyers to place a pre-auction offer and start a pre-auction bidding war where the seller has the ability, to accept or reject an offer. So your first question's around the investment. And listen, I get that. This isn't chump change. It's a serious investment for a serious seller. But if we can shoot straight with each other, it isn't the investment of selling that really concerns our clients. It's time. Because time is not only irreplaceable, but it's also very, very expensive, especially in the form of marketing. So here's a quick chart that breaks down the factors revolving a $4 million sale. Please be sure to take notice of the carrying costs in each example, in each figure, okay? These figures are gathered on a national average from the National Association of Realtors and luxury sellers alike. Go ahead and take a look. So thank you for joining me today. Thank you for your time. And as I mentioned, we only accept 4 in 20 properties that inquired, and that just means our space is very limited. So if you would like to get your home sold for this year for top dollar, please reach out to me and see if your home would be a good fit. Following this webinar, I'm going to send each of you a thank you email, and through those emails, you can either provide me with your home address or schedule a call with me directly. Okay? Please utilize one of these paths to get in touch with me to see if your home's a good fit and to get your property in line for this selling season. Hope that went well. Hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any questions, would like any answers, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.